Do not count the days. Make sure every day counts. Start living sustainable today. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We warmly welcome you all to the Green Wisdom Forum conducted by the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. The environmental challenges have reshaped the planet, with societies collapsing as a result of its detrimental impact. The news of the hour is to shift towards a world where people and nature coexist. Earth can recover only with the human spirit's resilience and innovations in seeking solutions and rebuilding after disturbances. One such innovation is green innovation. It's a unique opportunity to grow savings, productivity, and prosperity. Therefore, today we are going to discuss about a special topic in our Green Wisdom Forum. It is pressing need for green buildings in climate change adaptation. And also today Green Wisdom Forum will be conducted by a team of distinguished professionals in the field of environmental sustainability. They are Professor Sarath Kotagama, Professor Ranjith Dissanayake, and Professor Rangika Halwatura. And also the forum will be moderated by architect, planner, Piyal Silva. So let me give few minutes to introduce him. Architect Piyal Silva received his BSc in Built Environment, MSc in Architecture from the University of Moderator, MSc in Urban Planning, specializing in the environmental design, and postgraduate diploma urban design from the Oxford Brookes University, UK. And also he's the fellow member of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects and the Institute of Town Planners Sri Lanka since 1997, and a corporate member of the Royal Institute of British Architects since 1986. He was a senior lecturer, Department of Town and Country Planning at the University of Moderator from 2004 to 2006, and is a visiting lecturer, Department of Architecture at the University of Moderator. And also, he commenced his professional career at UDA from 1985 to 1998. He formed Avant-Garde Urban Design Partnership practice, specializing his urban design and architecture in 1998, and Design Advocacy Private Limited in 2011, providing consortium consultancy services where innovation in designs and green building practices are promoted and facilitated in development projects. But he's the vice chairman of the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka, and a council member of the Chamber of Construction Industry, and he's also the senior vice president of the Institute of Urban Designers and the former president of the Institute of Town Planners Sri Lanka. So I cordially invite architect planner Piyal Silva to moderate the session. Dear sir, over to you.
Okay. Thank you, Sadipa. Today's topic is pressing need for green buildings in climate change adaptation. We have three eminent professors to share their thoughts on this subject. And to start the session, we have Professor Ranjith Dissanayake. He's the chairman of the Green Building Council. He will make his presentation on insight into mission of Green Building Council. Professor Dissanayake is known to everyone. I don't think we need a special introduction. He's a senior professor in civil engineering at the University of Plnr. He's a chartered engineer and a fellow of the Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, and holds membership from several other prestigious institutions. He was a Fulbright scholar in USA, Endeavour Fellow in Australia, and JASSO Research Fellow in Japan. He was awarded the Young Scientist Award in 2007 for excellence in scientific research by the National Science and Technology Commission of Sri Lanka. He received the Overseas Prize of the Institute of Civil Engineers, ICE, in the UK in 2007, and the Australian Alumni Excellence Award in 2012. He has published over 150 papers in reputed journals. He has also chaired more than 10 international conferences. He is the current chairman of the Green Building Council and president-elect of the Institute of Engineers, Sri Lanka, and a vice president of the Chamber of Construction Industry. He is also former secretary to the State Ministry of Rural Roads and the State Ministry of Urban Development. He is also the founder of several companies, including Lego International Private Limited, ICB Private Limited, Lanka, AAC Private Limited, CAP Private Limited, and WSP Private Limited. Over to you, Professor Dissanayake, to enlighten us on the mission of the Green Building Council.
Thank you, Piyal, for your kind introduction. Let me share my presentation on. I don't see it. Let me try again. Hope you all can see the presentation. Let me welcome to the seminar on behalf of the Green Building Council. I have given the pleasant task of introducing the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. I always love to do that. Just to begin with my presentation, I would like to bring to your attention that what is going on in the environment. We have been living from the beginning in the jungle, so smart of thinking and creation, come up with the new innovation. We started to build our own environment. So the built environment started at the very primitive level, and now it has gone to a level where it has changed in the environment. Development of the scientific finding, so forth. We have created many luxuries and competitive environment as the all challenging environment towards the that we produce a lot of carbon dioxide and other gases and dust, and we more toward the linear economic. We get the resources and use it and throw it away, rather than making it a circular. We now, as nations of the different world, different countries, are thinking about how we can prevent this damage. It's not easy. We can slow down what is going on for the time being. So especially here we are in the Council of Africa, we are more concerned about the impact of the built environment. Some of the figures I am bringing to the impact of the buildings, like the building sector is a significant contributor to the environment accounting the nearly 37% of the global greenhouse emission and the 34% of the global energy use. You can see amount of the damage that we are doing to the environment. So maybe different sectors are there. I'm not going into the detail. And again, some of the other data, like nearly 13% world freshwater is extracted for the buildings. And in the lands are from the buildings, so that you can see amount of the we do only by the building. And it is huge. So that is why we are particularly talking about the greener building concept, as it contributes and it has a big impact on the environment damage. So bringing the concept of the green building, we have the lot of advantage towards the making sure that the greener environment damage can be reduced. Like through the greener building, we bring the energy efficiency. Energy efficiency means we reduce the amount of the energy required for a given building. And the energy means basically it is harmful to the environment. For example, say if you produce the energy out of the coal, so you have to cope coal. One way usage of the natural material and burning produce the carbon dioxide and so forth. Then produce the other ashes and so forth. So therefore, by reducing the energy demand of the building, you can reduce the damage to the environment. And the environment impact, so that we use a lot of technique like reuse, recycle, where by amount of the material required will be limited, and even the material we produce out of the material need the less energy and water and so forth. So again, with the greener building concept, it is possible. And the green again improve the indoor air quality. So like the building and the low emitting material. Then another one, energy efficiency, water conservation. Again, within the building, we have less water required for the building compared to the traditional building. And of course, the building itself, wherever possible, try to go for the rainwater harvesting, as well as efficiency will be improved. Then enhance the occupant thermal condition, acoustic, and the natural light. In the designing and concept this kind of comfort into the building. Then reduce the carbon dioxide emission wherever possible with the water, the energy, like the natural lighting, and wherever possible, we try to reduce the carbon dioxide emission required for the building itself. The benefits is there always because of low operating cost and the increase the property value and so forth. And health and well-being is another differently and come in as a package of the greener building, supportive space for the well-being. Other one is sustainable community will contribute to the resilient and livable communities up to the greener building. So the advantage, that is the why we promote the concept in Sri Lanka. Some of the things that I should tell you that the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka is the only authority on the implement of the greener concept and the green building practices. We are a member, we are the only member of the World Green Building Council, and we operate the global as well as the regionally through the network. And we established the Green Council about the Sri Lanka almost to now. The concept brought the professor in the Melbourne University, Australia. Then consulting on the all stakeholders of the construction industry, we formed the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. Then presently I'm the chairman of the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. This where we have moved toward some of the area like the green economy. Why we have gone for the green economy? There's a huge trend in the green job everywhere now. Companies are talking about sustainability. I was very recently visiting Australia, few cities everywhere. Any projects, the sustainability assessment is one of the very important part. So we have to, before starting any project, we need to provide the sustainable development report. So there is a huge trend towards the greener jobs in any area, but especially the construction industry. Because every country are in the really the caring toward the environment, and they have, because of the scarcity of the material and some other the disasters happening around the world. It has understood the past growing of different sectors. Not going into the detail. Sustainability management is one of the high ranking. Other areas, but you can Google it and see. Just I brought it for you to see us in different areas has a different, because of the on your specialty. You can think of the which area you should master. By doing that, as the locally as internationally huge demand for green jobs, and everybody, it's whether you are from the finance sector, the construction or accounting, whatever the sector, but understanding the concept of sustainability and the green is very, very important for your future enhancement. There's a world trend that the people move from the traditional jobs to the greener jobs. So now, so many universities are offering the this sustainable area short course and so forth. Why? Because people want to move from their traditional job to be at the university. We have started the MSc program in sustainable built environment, as well as even the undergraduate level also. We have included the subject on sustainable design case in the University of Moderator, and everywhere we tried. And it is compulsory also include it in our curriculum, whatever we teach. But of course, there are barriers that I'm not going to. So that in order to, these are also barriers of the awareness, right? Right? Demand is, and that is why we, as a Green Building Council, even this seminar itself is to overcome the barriers. By we should prepare the younger generation the potential benefit that you have in engaging the learning the sustainability, right? As a Green Building Council of Sri Lanka, I'll be very quick from onward. We do a lot of activities. Number one is certification of the building, product certificate, and education and training and research and develop volunteering activities, recognize sustainable initiative, and in-house training. So we conduct training program, right? We and certified, and even today we had the other than this training program, this pre-seminar, we had the beach cleaning program in the morning. These are some of the in the area of the building council. 7 million square feet has been certified. We have trained close to 2,000 associate professionals, accredited 105. We have identified more than 49 products so far as a labor. Some of the buildings that we have from certified silver, gold, platinum building. You can see some of the photographs that we have. We have the hotel, the petrol station, the office, you name any residential apartment and so forth. These are the product that we have certified that I'm not going to. If you are producing something, our expert come to the product and see whether it is a green product. Then we have the ladder in our training, the first training, beginning as a associate training program is a comparison. And later you can have the ladder go up to the actual professional. That is like the charter status in any other institute. Photograph of the people who recently trained, site visit and group projects, workshops, other activities, green walk and the painting and baking and so forth. And the research and development, we identify the some of the research and try to develop the product. And we got the assistance on the Australian aid, and we identified the 100 small holders and gave them the training on the sustainability. And annually, we have annual Green Building Awarding Ceremony. This time also, we will have the December awarding ceremony every year. We have another arm, alumni of the certified green professionals. They also conduct different kind of activities and what we do at the Green Building Council of Sri Lanka. We have the cooperative member. We have more than 25 cooperative members. These are some of the members that we have partnered with. With that, I would like to conclude my presentation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Piyal, sir, are you there?
No, yeah, sorry, I'm muted.
Okay.
Yeah, our next speaker is Professor Sarath Kotagama. Professor Kotagama will deliberate on the need of green buildings to addressing climate change. Professor Kotagama is an emeritus professor of environmental science in the Department of Zoology, University of Colombo, Sri Lanka. He's a leading ornithologist in Sri Lanka. He was the recipient of many awards for his exemplary service, including the Vidya Jyoti award highest recognition for a scientist in the country. He received President's Science Award in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010, 2011, and 2012 for science publications of international standards. Professor Kotagama is a former director of Department of Wildlife Conservation of Sri Lanka. Professor Kotagama has been a part and parcel of the Green Building Council from its inception, and is one of the environmental authority in this country, and we will listen to his deliberations on the need for green buildings to address climate change. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Piyal. Hi, Bowan, to all of you. I think we have a very good audience today. Thanks for the Green Building Council for enabling me to spend a couple of minutes with you all to try and convince you all that we need to do something more seriously and quickly if we are to change the current state of the environment. So let me go directly into my slides. And I hope you can see it. Can somebody give me a cue that you can see it?
Yeah, we can see.
Thank you. So what I thought following Professor Ranjith, when he introduced the Green Building Council and about the need to be wise, that's wisdom part of it. I thought I will try to reflect on some things that have happened in the last couple of weeks and ask ourselves, are we ready to respond? Or are we willing to be a wisdom being as humans to do something urgently? Now, these are what came out within the last 2 weeks about first, the natural disasters that shook the world in 2022. I will not go into all the details, but I will just want to share this with you. So starting with what had happened with the floodings in Kushi districts of Logar province in Kabul, Afghanistan. So these are significant environmental impacts. The drought of East Africa. Second day of the rescue efforts in the mudslides of Petropolis, Brazil. Then we have had houses, earthquakes, building coming down, killing many people. This is from Indonesia. The rain seems to make bigger effort to keep coming down and gives us all the concerns. In Brahmapur, 60 kilometers east of Guwahati, northeast Assam state, doesn't spare the gods. Rescue workers are searching for people who were washed away in Johannesburg. Again, water. Here in Pakistan, we know which was a massive rainfall which caused huge damages. And then we have human-caused problems resulting in people having to run away from their countries to adjoining countries as refugees. And there they find themselves in these structures, and nature does not consider them differently from any other being on the planet. They may be refugees for us, running away from an issue created by us, but nature has no discrimination on that, to be compassionate at all. So many in Somalia have been suffering. And then you have in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a similar, where more than 100 people have died. It's all to do with rain. And then comes the lava flow, Mauna Loa volcano in Hawaii. And I think we have even a more interesting event in the next couple of weeks. So as of August 12th, so we are here on the 16th, there were 93 confirmed deaths and at least 1,000 other individuals were unaccounted for due to the Lahaina fire of Maui. Only 2 victims have been identified. The death toll in West Maui made it the deadliest wildfire and natural disaster ever recorded in Hawaii since statehood. Last night, the number went up to 99. Now, what is interesting is a couple of pictures just to show you what the devastation is, because often we don't bother to look at these things because we are ourselves fighting to survive in this planet, in a sense, which is the wrong way of looking at it, but sadly it is. So you can see the level of living and the damage here, all burnt. Houses just cindered down to ashes. Where they were, all what is left is that. The huge fire, and this is the interesting part of it, because now we are finding people trying to interpret how could this have happened. And for planners, I think Dr. Piyal will be looking at it very carefully now, and many of the architects and constructors would find that this is the perfect setup for a closed area to burn up. All the mountains around the settlements, making this a beautiful enclave, and when the fire starts, everything goes berserk and burns down. The water is the only place that they can run for shelter, and that's what happened to the people. The rains have not spared us either. The most dramatic visuals of some monsoons that have come about in India. All over, these things are happening. Looking at the vehicles that are there, you can at once make a conclusion as to what type of persons or what living conditions have gone underwater here. The average person is also suffering. They're all having to strike a balance. And just again, just a week ago, we have something even more interesting coming out about the statistics and costs. Over the past 5 years, this is from Forbes, which is fairly responsible in their reporting, has experienced an average of $18 billion climate disasters each year. I think the numbers matter. The economy, which Professor Ranjith just talked about, linear to circular, yeah, doing hard to go, but this was very much in this transition, if we are in the transition. $18 billion climate disasters each year. Last year was right on average with 18 climate disasters in 22, causing a total of $175.2 billion in damage and resulting in 474 fatalities. Now we are begging for 3 billion. I'm not going to go through all these details because if you are interested, please go in to the Forbes report of the statistics of these disasters. It all tells us something that we cannot, I think, I'm not an economist, but yet I think we are driven by the economies all along. And is this the economy that we want to inherit and take forward? Or is it that Disasters can happen, and because the economy is capable of looking after, we think it is the right way to go. 18 climate disasters, we saw 175.2 billion in damages. Past 5 years, we experienced over $18 billion natural disasters per year. 2012 and 2022, tropical cyclone were the costliest natural disasters among billion-dollar weather disasters, 744.3 billion, followed by severe storms, 218 billion, and drought, 112.9 billion. Over the past decade, severe storms have caused the highest number of billion-dollar climate disasters, 99, followed by tropical cyclone, 24, flooding, 17, drought, 10, and wildfires, 9. 40% of homeowners, 42% are concerned that weather events such as wind, rain, ice, hail, or minor flooding will damage their homes in the next 3 months. Next 3 months. Between January 2013 and January 2023, 88.5% of all US counties declared natural disasters, including 95% of the 200 most populated counties. Los Angeles County, California, tops the list of counties most at risk for natural disasters, followed by East Baton Rouge Parish in Louisiana, Orleans Parish in Louisiana, Riverside County, California, and Jefferson Parish in Louisiana. We record the highest temperature ever in July 6th of this year. This is records going off from 1940 to 2023. All that, and in this year you can see the red line right on top. The global sea temperature is no different. It's not just only on the land, but the sea is also following with it. So, climate change, are we still talking about it as a fact or fiction? Sadly, there are many who are still thinking that this is a fiction, very skeptical about it, and seem to not accept the fact that what the science is trying to tell, because they yet doubt that this has anything to do with the way we are saying. We can be complacent, we can be happy a little bit, because every year there is this Earth Overshoot Day calculation being done. And this year, the Earth Overshoot date came 5 days later than last year. So we are probably doing something. And it was the 2nd of August. And now we are living at the expense of the planet. You and I may not be doing so because our ecological footprint is only about 0.08, but the majority of the developed world, the ecological footprint is over 1. And that's what we think is better than where we are. So every year, the Earth Overshoot Day marks the day when humanity has consumed all the resources that the planet can produce over the entire year. This year it fell on 2nd August. Post previously published in 2020, Laurel Hanscom, former CEO of Global Footprint Network, laid out 5 steps we must take to shrink humanity. Okay, to achieve that, we need to follow certain basic guidelines. I'm just going to quickly go through. We must recognize the planet. Humanity's quality of life is dependent on the health of our planet's biological resources, including fertile soil, clean water, clean air necessary for humanity to thrive. Conservation, restoration, and regenerative practices strengthen our planet and humanity's ability to thrive. I like to press upon the fact of regenerative practices. Why? Because we have to generate back what we have destroyed all these years for the last 70 plus years. Cities have become part of it. However, we design and build our cities is crucial. If we make them compact, bike and pedestrian centric and efficient, cities can support great lives at a much lower footprint. City planning and urban development strategies are instrumental to balancing the supply of natural capital and population demands, because we believe that by 2030, more than 70% of the world's populations will be in cities. Energy, how we power ourselves, how we make ourselves do and get what we want. Is it with renewable energy or old, dirty energy? Where our energy comes from makes a huge difference on how much pressure we put on our planet and its system. Decarbonizing the economy is our best possible chance to address climate change and would improve the balance between our ecological footprint and the planet's renewable natural resources. And food, how we feed ourselves today. Half the planet's biocapacity is occupied by food production. How we meet one of our most basic needs, food, is a powerful way to influence sustainability. Where our food comes from, how it gets to us, how it is produced, and what we eat all makes a difference. Poison, destroyed soil, water, air, overconsumption, these are all concerns with respect to food, and of course numbers at the end of the day. How many we are? If there are more people, there is less planet per person. Being committed to everyone's living secure lives in a world of finite resources requires addressing population growth. Empowering women is essential for global sustainability. And more interesting also, there was a very interesting outcome which I thought I should share. A team of researchers from the Institute Technology Maju, University Putra, Malaysia, has succeeded in inventing a new system known as nanotechnology for encapsulation of phase change material. Don't ask me what this is, because I'm not a techno man and I don't know, but I read it and I believe it matters to us as constructors and building people. That can bring down room temperature in buildings, thus minimizing the use of air conditioning or heating systems and saving electricity bills. So this is something for you all to think about how it is. Who is contributing to it? Already Professor Ranjith have shown that the building and construction has a massive contribution to the problem. It's huge. Again, you can see billions of money. Green buildings will represent a 24.7 trillion investment opportunity by 2030. So if all us are thinking of making money or investing to make money, not just saving the planet, if that is the selfish thought, yeah, you have 24.7 trillion to make it. Yet, we know we have to do something. A study that was done in Sri Lanka also shows us that 40 to 50% of primary energy is used in the building construction. 70% of electricity is consumed by the building construction, buildings. 40% of carbon dioxide emissions, 15% of potable water use. This is 2010. I have not been able to find a report recently. The global emissions are no different. This is all what Professor Ranjith was trying to tell us. So we have a huge responsibility to meet it. But then why aren't we doing it? I always believe that what Albert Einstein said is probably the reason. Problems cannot be solved within the mindset that created them. So it is for the generations into the future, the younger personnel who are around, who should start thinking differently to enable this change to become a reality. So the role of the Green Building Council is very much there. So join us in catalyzing decarbonized and sustainable built environments for everyone, everywhere. This is from the Global Green Building Council. And tackling the barriers to sustainability in the built environment. We cannot tackle climate change without addressing buildings in our cities, which can account for 40% of emissions. Architects must change for the future. All fine architectural values are human values, else not valuable. That's Frank Lloyd Wright, the green architect of the times, whom we do believe most of the architectural students know. But the important thing is that you have to value it in terms of humans for the future. So that's my message. We have a shocking situation today. If we know what is happening around us at this point of time, we cannot be deniers anymore that climate change is here. And it is taking a huge toll of our environment and making the future very, very difficult to manipulate. But yet, it is our responsibility to go forward. And wisdom is important. So let me conclude by putting something like this, because I believe there are many of us in this forum who are either married or would like to get married and form a family. There are only two ways to make a family. Either by marriage, which is through you marry the one you love, or you love the one you marry to form the family. Now the challenge, you have to keep the family. We have all heard, I believe, that when poverty comes through the door, love flies out of the window. So then you have a challenge there. But at the other side, also you know that love is a factor of the heart. I challenge all of you to find one story in which the brain is used, which is wisdom. The most read or the most popular, or I don't know what is the word I'm trying to say, is Romeo and Juliet. If you have read the story, to me, it is the worst love story in terms of humanity. Maybe it is nicely written. So to keep the family, it is like this. To build the family, you need the heart. But to keep the family, you need wisdom, which is in the head. So here we are exactly in that situation with respect to the environment. You need to have a heart to feel the environment, to be an environmentalist, to do things that require for the environment. But to be a green builder, you need the head, wisdom. So I believe all of you have that, but please use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Kotagama, for a very interesting and enlightening presentation. I think you started with a very scary picture and challenge our wisdom to respond to this situation. We'll get into discussion after the next session.
Yes.
Our next presentation is from Professor Rangika Halwatura. He will make his presentation on the application of innovation technology for climate positive green buildings. Professor Halwatura is a professor in civil engineering at the Department of Civil Engineering, University of Moderator, and visiting professor in Peter the Great, St. Petersburg Polytechnic University, Russia. He is a chartered engineer of the Institute of Engineers, Sri Lanka, and holds membership on several other prestigious institutions. He obtained his PhD in structural and building services engineering, and he graduated from the University of Moratuwa with a first class honors in BSc engineering. He is an authority on innovative construction methods, especially the concrete structures, prefabricated structures, tall buildings, and use of advanced materials, and goes on and on. So it is very important that we address this innovation applications in order to address the issues of today. As Professor Kotagama said, we need wisdom to make these things, the damages that has been done. So let's listen to him about how to adapt innovative technology in order to address these climate impacts. Over to you, Ranjith.
Thanks, Piyal. I think I'm audible enough. Let me share the screen. As Professor Kotagama stated, I mean, we need both head and the heart to be green, and it's good to see more than or nearly 600. Yeah, it's going up and down, and I mean, having more than 600 participants for this particular the small seminar. Well, in a way, I should congratulate the Green Billion Council for getting such big audience and promoting this particular the webinar online and getting down the numbers. So it's good to see. I mean, as I said, the people with heart and head in this number, but as Professor Kotagama clearly stated, I mean, we need to I mean, not to have the heart and the head, but we have to practice that as well. Well, going to my topic, I was asked to talk about innovative technologies for climate positive green buildings. Well, within that particular topic, there are little controversial the words, but anyway, keeping that the topic aside, I thought of starting this presentation with a small video. I hope you can see the video playing on your the left hand side. It's not it's nothing about buildings. It's I mean, we talked about the green buildings, we talked about the climate positive changes or the climate change. That's all over the above ground, or rather that's about the buildings. But this small video is below water, or rather below sea, and it's a macro video of a tiny coral piece. It's in this nature. Actually, this is not in the sea. It was taken at my small lab in one of the coral tanks. So as I said, there's a small tiny coral piece. You can see within this piece, I mean, it's this size. So it's magnified to a level where you can see the real inside of a coral. So in this video, you can see there are tiny creatures. I'm very sure the Professor Kotagama would be able to give the science of this, but I'll just brief you about what you can see. You can see some tiny creatures who are like fingers. So they are called polyps. So they are the people who basically, they are the creatures who basically eat, rather get the stuff from the water and build this beautiful, or rather create this beautiful corals. I mean, they will give the color, they will give the size, they will give the spread of the coral. So basically, they are multiplying these coral colonies into many. So that's below water situation, and unfortunately, these the tiny creatures are at a very great threat. If you look at the Sri Lankan the coral reefs, we lost about 80% from the past to the near, let's say, the past 10-15 years. We lost about 80% of the corals, the beautiful coral reefs we had. Well, that is not because of any issue with these tiny polyps. That is mainly because of the climate change, or rather the actions made by the creatures who are living above ground. And because of the actions of the creatures who lived in the above ground, has affected the below ground, the rather underwater the conditions, and that is obviously visible. So we know we are losing the corals, and they are not really climatically adaptive. So when there's a tiny change in the environment, these tiny creatures will all die, and the whole coral reef will become a white cloth. So that is visible. And we all know the climate change is there, but we don't feel it. We don't want to believe it. rather not that we can't feel, but we don't want to believe that particular climate change. But you can see every day, everywhere, as Professor Kotagama and Ranjith was showing, I mean, everywhere you have this particular issue, and we talked about the issue, but we think that we will be able to adapt to the situation and we can live forever. But the nearest and the best example is when you change the climate, the polyps are dying. Not only the polyps, so that will definitely affect the other creatures as well. So the being climatic, the positive and going for green structures, or rather understanding the issue behind this, is very vital at this particular stage. So keeping that small note from my the first slide, let me take you back to say 3,000 years. So my topic is on green buildings and or rather the innovative approach. So I'm not going to talk about what is new and what we are doing today, but I'm going to take you back to 3,000 years. If you go back to the image of your left side, that is the oldest burnt clay tile which was found in Sri Lanka. The burnt clay tile. So that's nothing new. That's not new big technology. What they have done was they have they have taken the clay. They kept it on somewhere and they pressed it and they make the shape and they drill the hole and burn it. And that's why even today you will be able to see this. That is after, I mean, this was carbon dated for more than 3,000 years. So this was this tile is not in a museum. It's there in my laboratory because I'm studying the progression of this particular tile and how this was initiated and how this was basically started in 3,000 years ago, and how this shape and the material has come up to the Candy era. So that's a different story. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you with this particular image is, well, none of these the theories, none of these techniques, none of these the science or the technology was not really taught at a university. That is that they learned this the knowledge from the nature. That is a universal university, which you and I never want to believe. So keeping that particular tile aside, I'm going to the other side, the two images. It's basically the same material, same sample. You can see my two fingers at the bottom image. So it's again a roof tile that again carbon dated for more than 1,800 years from the Anuradhapura era. If I give you the background of this particular small piece, you can see it's not like the first image. It's a pressed clay tile. You have it's basically molded within a mold. They have pressed the material, you know, and it's a burn clay tile, and you can see over the tile there's a thin it's about 1 millimeter thin a glaze layer over the tile. So this is 1,800. The previous one is 3,000 years. You know, I mean, we have played with clay. I mean, many times. I'm not really talking about the clay or the mud which you and I day to day use over the mouth, but this is basically the mud you can touch. So they have basically found the best the clay. So that's again from the nature, learning from the nature, and burning can improve the durability of the clay. That again they learn from the nature. Maybe they have seen the clay near the tree fire is completely different from the soil in the lake. So they learn by burning the clay they can change the properties. So all from the nature. But this the particular tile has a different story. This coming from Anuradhapura. I mean, you know, Anuradhapura is not a cool climate. The kind of the area with the cool climatic the conditions. It's really hot. And if you think about the modern situation, we have a lot of heat insulations. I mean, let's say the flat slabs. We talked about the polystyrene and extruded and expanded polystyrene, and let's say a sloping roof. We have glass wool, we have polyethylene forms, we have reflective insulations. There are a lot of materials, but all these materials are fixed after the roof tile. So you have the roof tile and you have air gap, and then you lay the insulation here. So that is what the modern technology and the modern science and so-called this, brilliant the technologies has developed up to now. But this particular tile, you can say, the glass is a reflective material. So being in Anuradhapura, they have found a way to reflect the heat at the rooftop level, and that will not allow the heat to get into the building. So just imagine how they have, how much they are creative, and the level of creativity and the level of knowledge and the technology. I mean, that is their thinking, and that is how they have started this particular the story, and how they have developed this thing. That's a different story. But if I go into the science, two different materials, they have two different thermal coefficient of thermal expansion. That means, I mean, when you increase the temperature, one will expand in a different way than the other. So if you start burning this particular tile at a temperature of about 800 to 900 centigrade, I'm very sure with the modern science, with the knowledge you have, the basic the knowledge, I mean, it's not the science, it's not the chemistry and physics, but with the basic knowledge, anybody knows that. Let's say you take the glass, the glass cup. If you start pouring hot water, this will make it into pieces. So that is because there will be there will be a temperature gradient, and because of that it will break. But this particular material, you can clearly see that that not even cracked. So it's amazing. The technology is really, really amazing. So I don't know how they have made it. We are studying this whole process and try to understand what is the chemical modification they have done to make this. But one thing is, they have found a way to match the coefficient of thermal expansion. Amazing. So it's really wow. So any innovative innovations, we say it's wow, but this thing should have to have many wow factors, because this is not really existing today, even with the sophisticated technology we talk. So this is basically 1,800 years before. Today from the day we are now. So, I mean, you take any construction, any old construction, you start from Dambulu Vihara. I mean, all these paintings were not really brought or imported from Europe. It's basically made in Sri Lanka. Not only the paint, I mean, you just imagine, I mean, you make you have a building today. You know what is going to happen with the painting after 1 or 2 years. You will get the mold growth. You will get the spitting out. But this particular painting is not really going through all these issues. So they have, I mean, let's say the mold growth. You have air conditioning the space now. And if you are not properly controlling the moisture content, the relative humidity inside the room, you will start the mold growth. But here they have used the wind flow through the channel, through the structure, in a way that the mold growth is made to zero. That's really amazing. They have created inside structures to spread the wind to and spread the wind, and they have cut down the mold growth. That's one side. And also you think about getting the natural light into the building and get the real the color of the paint. So they basically use the natural the resources and got the maximum. Even today you can go there and you can say, wow, that is because they have tapped the correct material, and they have done almost all these the construction either the natural way or near natural way. But this particular technology was we are losing that. And if you just try to understand what is the reason for it, let me show you. I'm not really going to do a comparison of 1,000 or 2,000 years back and today, but I will do a comparison of my childhood and the life of the modern kid. The top image is basically me. I mean, I still can remember after the school I was playing, and my mother come and pull me to inside, and I mean she will say, okay, go and have a wash and you start studying. So that is my childhood, because from after the school to let's say 5, 6 in the evening, I was playing with my colleagues. So I was basically enjoying the entire nature. But today, our kids are basically they're busy with this small gadget, and for the parents, for them to see the nature, they have to pull them out, and otherwise they do know there's environment outside. I mean, you just think whether this is really exist or not. Let me show you another simple example. That's my childhood. That is the left side. The right side, what is the kids today. So my childhood, I still can remember the day I flew my the first kite to the sky. Well, it's basically like getting 1 or 2 PhDs. I mean, it's that sort of a good experience by and learning from a lot of mistakes. You have to get the correct material. That's from the nature. You have to get the material. You have to clean them properly. You have to bind them properly. You have to get the balance. You just get the finger and you keep the skeleton and you check whether it is balanced well. And once it is balanced, you get the paper. You fix it. You glue it and put the nail, and you keep your the younger sister or the brother on the other side, and you pull it. And I'm very sure that will not go to the sky. It will go down. We say it's Kuriya Gahana. So you start learning the science, the natural science, by a lot of mistakes. You will make 10, 20 the kite, and suddenly one kite will start flying to the sky. So that is a marvelous experience. I don't know how many of you out of these 615 the people in the audience, I don't know how many of you have that particular experience, flying the first kite to the sky, starting from the stretch from where you get the material. But today, our kids, they have a brilliant, beautiful, state-of-the-art the kite. It is not a simple kite. I mean, you have a lot of additional the features like a drone camera, so where you can just fly the drone with 2 joysticks, and you I mean, not the same satisfaction I enjoyed as when I was a kid in 25 30 years before. They can even see from the top the bird eye view. So it's a lot of experience, a lot of the new features added to the same toy. But the issue is, if it is broken, you have to throw that out and you have to get another one. So you are not really learning by mistakes. So one is you are not really linked to the nature. The other side, you are not really making mistakes for you to learn what should be the best. So that is what I feel as the biggest mistake, comparing from my generation to the generation today. So because of, I mean, all these issues, we have created lot of the issues in the world now. I'm not going to detail. I know Ranjith and Professor Kotagama was talking a lot on this matter, but let me take you one simple, or rather 2 examples from the nature to understand, for you to understand the level of the criticality of this particular issue. Let me take you to China. I don't know how many of you can remember this COVID, the condition, the COVID pandemic, which was happening in the world. I mean, Sri Lankans, we normally don't keep things more than 2 weeks. So that's why I'm asking whether you'll be able to remember this, the COVID situation. But anyway, the COVID is a different story. But in 2019, before 2019 December, before 2019 December, this is what the China looks like: a very big city and a very populated, highly populated city in China. So this is how the China city looks like. And the lockdown happened in 2019 December. Exactly 14 days after the lockdown, you can say what has done by the nature. Your right hand side, this is what you and I has done for more than 1,000, or rather, many more years. But the nature recovered it within 14 days. So you can see what is the level of damage you are doing to the nature. Let me show you another similar set of images. If you can't remember COVID, let me ask this, whether you will be able to remember this. This is in the last year, 2022 December. In 2022 December, we got sort of a dark cloud from India. We can say, I mean, we are not responsible. That's basically came from India, but that's a, I mean, even India, we have about 1.5 billion population there, so it's basically human, whether it's Sri Lankan or Indian or a Chinese or whoever. It's humans activity has created this. The top image shows the I mean day-to-day Colombo, and the bottom image is the image taken at last year December. So you can see the level of damage, and that will help you to understand the risk we will face. I mean, definitely in tomorrow, day after. So this particular issue is now really alarming, and we can't avoid it anymore. The polyps are dying. That's a different story. We can avoid that, but this is really alarming and threatening the human being of 8 billion in this world. Definitely, believe me, I mean, this is really alarming. Well, now going to my the topic, the built environment. So the images of three houses, I could say. The first one is I mean, it's poor, a very poor house in Sri Lanka. The bottom one, I could say, a poor house. The middle one, the bottom one, is the best house, I could say, a green building. So you can see the difference, the cross section of the Sri Lankan house construction. The top one is poor, very poor house. The middle one is a poor house, and the bottom one is a modern building with all the state-of-the-art technologies, and could say a green building. Let me show you another interesting location. This is the main street, Colombo. That is before the independence. I mean, we could say we were very poor. I mean, before the independence, we were nowhere. But the bottom image is the main street today. So we are developing now. So you can see the difference between poor to the developing. Well, out of which, let me take you to a different country. This is Hong Kong City. I mean, the Hong Kong City was taken as the best example for the green or the modern the cities with all the sophisticated technologies. When you talked about the sustainability and being green, I'm very sure you will forget all the other images, and we only talked about the Hong Kong City. That is the iconic city. And if you take an individual house, that is this small house. And we never talked about these two. That's the real story behind the sustainability and green. But if you just go into the real bottom of the situation, the people who are living in this particular city and people who are living in that particular house, they were with thousands of sophisticated questions, and they were trying to solve it in the all possible, the state-of-the-art modern technologies. And even once you suit them, there are a lot of sophisticated solutions, and out of which, again, you are doing a research to find the best suitable solution to match your problem. So you have thousands of sophisticated problems, thousands of sophisticated answers, and you are trying to bridge them with the modern science once again. But the people who are living in the two houses which you have omitted rather in the sustainability and the green concept, they have very minimum set of questions, and they are solving them in the best possible way and the most simple arrangement which you and I can ever think of. So you have the people who are talking about the sustainability and the green concepts. They have a lot of problems, lot of the complex the questions, and a lot of complex answers, and you are trying to mix them or the bridge them with the most sophisticated way. And when you talked about the sustainable definition, it says you can, I mean, it's not really asking you to go back to the cave area, go back to the jungle, have some leaves around, and spend the life in the jungle. No, that is not what the sustainability says. Sustainability, the definitions the defined by the UN, it says you can have your satisfaction. I mean, it's not really limiting your satisfaction, but don't ever compromise the ability of the next generation to have their satisfaction. We build structures which are lasting more than 500 or even 1,000 years, and we force the next generation, look, I mean, we have built these structures for you, you go and live them. I mean, is it really the sustainability? You look at the two houses which is on your top of the left hand side. I mean, that is done by the parents. If the kids want to change, they can demolish the structure and they can have their structure, and the next generation another new structure. But what you create with the green and the sustainable concepts, which we talked about in or the most sophisticated manner, we create structures and we are forcing not really one generation or 6-7 generation. Look, I mean, which we have developed the cities, we have built the cities. You go and live it. Is it really sustainable? I mean, it's something for you to critically think at even at least at this particular level. Otherwise, we are heading for a big disaster. Well, I think enough is enough. Interesting cartoon from the internet once again. I mean, it's like you and I, we are talking with the sun. It's really hot. I mean, these days it's really hot. You can't stand outside for 5-10 minutes. It's really hot. The person is talking with the sun. He says, I mean, please go to your settings. I mean, it's really hot now. Go to your display settings and reduce the brightness level. It's too hot for me to stand now. The sun replies, interesting. I mean, there are a lot of things for us to understand. It says, I'm sorry, I haven't done any changes to my settings, because it's millions of years. I'm the same sun. I haven't done any change. It's you who have done the change. Please go to your settings. You increase the number of trees, increase the lakes and the water bodies, or rather, and reduce the concrete jungles. I mean, it's big list of activities. And at the last message, the sun says, I mean, we have to understand, like in your phone, you have the airplane, the silent mode, and a lot of modes. Like in the phone, sun says, please go to your human mode from your natural, I mean, from your auto mode. You are no longer a human now. You are automated creature. Please go back to a human mode. I mean, that is where the problem is now. You are no longer a human. You need to go back to your human mode from your auto mode. From the innovation, from the structures, from the climatic adaptation, you need to now critically think who you are, whether you are a human or automated creature. To me, I believe it's more into the automated creature than being a human, because we are losing the sense. Machines are learning and we are losing, and we are learning the machines. So we have to critically think about what we are doing. This is interesting story from Japan. This is Okinawa Beach in 2014. The entire beach, the coral reef has gone, and they wanted to replant the coral. So they took a very critical decision in 2014 to plant corals. So they took tiny coral pictures and they started planting corals. And today, that is actually 2022. Now it is 2023. It's a thick coral jungle. If you do the right thing with the right team, with the right intention, with the right direction, and at the right time, this is not a big deal. You can be a winner. And if once you get together, we will be real winners. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Rangika. It was very interesting, and I was expecting a very technological presentation from you, and actually you touched the heart, as Professor Kotagama rightly suggested. So let's move into the next session. And to begin with, I have a question for Professor Ranjith. Actually, Green Building Council was started with a mission of making the construction industry green. As of today, the industry is having a huge crisis. Now, what are the challenges you feel in order to achieve our mission, and what are the adaptations or changes that we need to employ in order to Ranjith?
Yeah, basically, when you go to the directly what is happening in the construction industry, I mean, nearly 60% of the activities are not happening. There are so many reasons behind that. One is increase of the price of the raw material, and the material which import because of the exchange rate, again the cost. that really we understand that we as a nation that we have been importing the almost like the 60% of the different kind of requirement for the construction industry. We have not been, we are not a nation that we produce like the, we go to simple, maybe and grind it here. Even other areas like the electrical and you name anything and everything like the, as I said, the 60%. So that we have to definitely start manufacturing in this country. So you can't do it over the night. Right? Then again, our practices must be changed for the sustainability. So that we have to think about like the precast and the modular construction, lean construction, kind of techniques should be adapted into the construction industry. Otherwise, you may not be able to reduce the cost for the construction. The cost has been the major factor why the construction industry is not growing. Now, it is fortunate that we understand that the other sectors, the construction industry also depend on the imports. So that when the fluctuation of the currencies, you can't adapt. It's as we know that the Sri Lanka almost the second highest the cost for the construction in Southeast Asia. So how we can expect the investor to come to this country, and how we can improve our tourism. At the end of the day, our hotel and almost sometime double in the most of the countries in Southeast Asia. Why? Because our investment is so huge. It is again for the other sectors, maybe manufacturing sectors also. That is why the most of the manufacturing, like even the garment industries, is going to the some other countries like Bangladesh and so forth. Why? We have the huge cost from the beginning, mainly infrastructure. Therefore, without reducing the cost, we can compete with the other countries. Therefore, we as a nation must start manufacturing wherever possible and try to go for the linear methods for the construction. We must reduce the cost. Then only and even the client will invest on expansion of the project, factory expansion, house expansion, whatever thing expansion can be happen because the base cost must be reduced. So that is as a Green Building Council of Sri Lanka, we are very keen on development of starting to the industries to modular construction and the inclusion of the new material, right? That lead construction cost, then even the attraction from the investors as well as the other local clients also may encourage to invest to the construction. Then only we can boom up the construction industry. Otherwise, by depending on the import material and so forth, if you are to try to develop the construction industry, there is always limits. That is what happened very recently. And when we compare to any other nation, this is the country where we don't think about any of the local material. And with that, also Green Building Council, we have to go for the circular economy. Right? So we can't just go for the economic model because the scarcity of the material. So when you get the raw material, produce something, if you are going to demolish it and throw it away, either we have to get it from the source or from the whatever we have to recycle, and as a nation we have to practice this. Otherwise, we cannot. There won't be a survival for the construction industry. Thank you, Piyal. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah. The other concern that I have is we were thriving to get this quality of construction right, and we have introduced a lot of rating tools. Can you just explain whether our effort on this rating systems have helped us to increase the quality of construction, or is there any additional things that we need to do? Because we have different rates.
Piyal, actually, we'll see what has happened, because we had a we didn't have the dollar to bring the energy, the fuels and so forth, right? So prices has gone up, all the imported items. So what we are talking about? We are talking about sustainability. What we are trying to do within the sustainability. When we build the building, we would like to reduce energy consumption. We would like to reduce the water demand. So we would like to reduce the material demand, right? So because we try to reduce the operation cost. The operation cost means the mostly dollar, right? So that means the Green Building Council itself, of course, the working toward the problem. I want to make sure that all the construction convert toward the green building. Once you do the green building, operation cost will be lower. And right? The demand for the local will increase, right? So that thereby the operation cost. When you go to the operation cost for the construction, it is like the carbon emission is like the 40%, whereas the operation and maintenance like the 60%. A huge amount of energy required for the operation. So that by building the green building, we are trying to reduce the operation cost, whereby the most of the money that we go for the import and so forth can be reduced. So that is what we need as a nation. We must come up with the innovation, must make sure that that will be converted to the tax, whereby the wealth will be generated to the nation, so that whereby we can cut down the import. That is what we try to promote always as a Green Building Council, innovation and entrepreneurship. That every innovation must be sustainable, or the green must end up with the entrepreneurship. Then only there will be value addition to the whatever we do. So that is what we promote, and thereby we can find out the solution for even the crisis that not also in the long term. That is the future for any nation to develop with this economic as well as the environmental crisis. Over to you, Piyal.
Okay, thank you. My next question is to Professor Kotagama, and actually you were citing different scenarios and was highlighting the need to think like a human or act like a human in order to protect the environment. Now, as Rangika also suggested, our lifestyles have changed. And I think that's contributing to this environmental degradation more than anything else. As you were critical about architects and planners, I agree. There was so many experiments that we are doing have generally backfired. Or we are not understanding the basic human behavior, because the environments that we are creating is also changing the behavioral patterns of humans, and that in turn is affecting the environment. In your mind, what should we do in order to uh, bring back this relationship with the environment, human environment relationship? Because we are now losing legibility of the environment, we are losing the connection with the environment, as Rangika suggested. We are having this remote control kites and all that. So we are, what should we do really in order to improve this situation in your mind as a...
Thank you. I think it's a very tall order, but yet I think I will take the challenge. First and foremost, I think what Rangika showed about his childhood and playing and getting hauled up into the house to study or do whatever, and pulling out the child from the home, from the television and the remote to go and play is the fundamental need. See, our generation, fortunately, have been lucky to have learned in an environment that was natural in a sense. But today, the children are learning not in a natural environment, in an artificial environment through artificial tools. So there is first the dissociation that is required from what is happening. And that, of course, we can talk about it, and it is not something that we have not known for ages. We have known it. The environmental education processes, the education fundamentals have been debated and everybody realizes it, but sadly we still don't seem to be traveling the right direction, because we feel that we are being demanded to meet the global requirement and to be the global first, if not, and for that we have to forget the past and go forward. I think that is one of the biggest mistakes. So it is really, even if the schools can't make that happen, I think the parents must take the challenge to make it happen. Now, if the parents who are more concerned about the future of the child is not going to enable it to happen, because that is why schools are non-grade today. It doesn't exist, right? The children are in tuition classes from the age of 4, right? Running from one to the other. You're learning things that you should be learning in school, where you socialize and get together and meet with everybody. All that has been thrown out of the window. But can the parents first understand that they have a responsibility for the future of the child at the home? Parents don't seem to recognize that the children are their children. So I would start from there rather than doing what I can't do. I would appeal to the parents, first look at your child and make the child be the child that you want as a child and father, mother, not a child of the 21st century. You're building children today to be of 21st century without actually really knowing what the 21st century will be. At least think of what it is today and make nature be what it is. We know clearly, without question, if not for nature, we won't be here. And if not for nature, we won't be here into the future. So get them more close to nature. That is the simple message I can give you. And to achieve that, you don't have to run all over. It is there. Right? Just taking what Rangika was trying to show, the two houses, many years ago, I said, all what we are doing is building ovens. Right? And we are trying to go and make it air conditioned. So I have a challenge now, which I have put to the architects. Beyond the second floor of a construction, tall building, why do you want air conditioning? I have still not found the answer. Right? Nobody is giving me the technical answer for that. Right? We make the mistakes and we think that the mistakes are right. So I think we have two parts to what you asked, Piyal. One is, Dr. Piyal, one is the parents have to take the responsibility to ensure that the child has the vision of nature for the future, because that is the future. The texture of it, the depth of it, all that can be. And I just saw somebody has been asking about AI, artificial intelligence. If you think AI is going to change, that is even the biggest mistake. AI can't do anything if we don't collect the data. If you think that is going to work, that is the mistake. right? We have to first find the information for AI to do what it wants. And that also we must give it to do. Otherwise, it won't do it, right? So when are we going to put that into the senior students, right? They think everything is technology. No, everything is not technology, right? So I have a saying now, technology is what you don't get when you want. Many might think that is not, but think about every lecture. Even in this lecture, when we started, we had a bit of a miss. And when Professor Ranjith was talking last, we didn't hear some of what he was saying. That is technology. So when you understand it that way, you will be more responsible and more dependent on what is natural rather than everything that you have put together. Can we infuse that into our children? But to do that, we have to infuse it into our students, because they are the ones who are the future.
Thank you, Professor. I think you put it in a very nutshell. And I think one of the reasons is, I think we have moved away from learning from the past and also researching of how these typologies and the human behavior interface in the environment. I think that kind of research, social, and that kind of activities needs to be promoted. I think Green Building Council has a responsibility for that. And we also have a misnomer that when it comes to innovation is something technological and everything can be resolved by technology. I think Rangika rightly moved the subject into the correct position, I suppose. But we need to have the social element into anything that we do so that we remain humans with whatever the things that we do. So get to Rangika. Now we were talking about this, how technology should be viewed, right? In your experience into, studying these new materials and various construction methodologies, what are the positive interventions that we need to look at in order to get out of this present situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, when you talked about invention and innovation, Piyal, the thing that we need to understand, critically understand, is that the invention and innovation cannot be limited, rather limited to technical innovation. So when you say invention and innovation, even at the school level, at the university level, I mean, you go to an invention competition or exhibition, it's all technical. But we rarely talked about the social innovation. We rarely talked about environment innovation. So I mean, this innovation should go and lie in all other aspects as well. But unfortunately, especially the developing countries, especially like the countries like Sri Lanka, we have misunderstood and misinterpreted this invention, innovation, and the development. Let's say the invention and innovation and the development is a snake. We basically tapping the tail, while the head of the development, or the invention and innovations, are basically behind us. They are looking for our genes and they're looking for our roots, but we are tapping the tail of the development and so-called invention and innovation, and we are going behind the people who has done a great damage, or rather who now they understood that it's a big mistake. Well, there's nothing called invention and innovation happening in this world, Piyal. I mean, it's all disruptions. We have to understand. We talked about the AI, the big data. You bring any let's say the nanotechnology. I mean, you bring any sophisticated new technology today into the discussion. I could say all are very disruptive, not really innovative. So that we have to understand. The real innovations are with our roots and with our genes. But unfortunately, we are not really willing to give the due respect and the value for them, and unfortunately we are going down every day. So there's no sort of a critical discussion, as Professor Kotagama clearly said. It's not about the content, it's not it's about the way of delivery from the school level. So we are killing the creativity, and we blame the generation, saying you are not creative, you are not really the suit to the world. But unfortunately that was done by partially done by the parents, then the school teachers, and finally when they enter to the university, we flash them, or rather give the full blow, and we completely destroy their creativity, and we blame them, saying they don't have the creativity. So if we really want to bring them bring this particular creative culture, whether either the Berlin or Rodo, wherever, we need to put them to the real universal, the university, that is the nature. If you dissociate or take the people from the nature and put them into a silo, saying, okay, this is the technology, you go and study, I'm not sure we have whether, not really, I'm not sure, I'm very sure we don't have a future. That will be the end of the story. So whatever we said and done, whatever we develop, if we are not, we don't, if that is not really coming from the taste of the nature, that doesn't have a future. We can call it as an invention or innovation, but that will not do the duty of creating that particular invention. So let me iterate once again, whatever we do, most of what we do today, they are not inventions and innovations, they are disruptions. Over to you, Piyal. I think your mic is muted.
I think we are running a little late. So I would open this up for any questions from the audience before we wrap it up. Yeah. Any questions?
So there are some questions in the chat box.
Sandeepa, one has Rohan Kure has raised the hand. I think if you are allowed, they can.
Yeah, he can. Yeah, Ron.
You have to allow them to speak, I believe.
Yeah, Ron, you can.
Hello. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear. Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Plnr Silva, and all the presentations are, brilliant. It gives all the ingredients for us to discuss. But I have a question now. Most of us are blindly speaks about climate change. Now, for an example, I'm also engaged in climate science, and I'm also engaged in projections of climates based on IPCC scenarios for Sri Lanka as well as the region. Now, my question is do we really understand the climate science here? For Sri Lanka, of course, we do have the guidelines, and we all have planning and regulation and etc. etc. But now, for an example, last month is the hottest month in terms of temperature in the world. The global average temperature is like 15 degrees, but it records like 17.25 degrees Celsius in the world, the global average temperature. Of course, Sri Lanka is like 27, but still it's very high. But are we really understand these science behind it? Because we can develop, we can do a lot of talks, we can do a lot of experiments, and we all speak similar things at different platform, at different levels. And I was engaged at global and national and regional. But are we really understand the climate change here? Because what I understand from different speakers, that of course, yes, we have disasters, which is sometimes triggered by climate-induced disasters, sometimes are man-made disasters. But I have not seen the how it's like we are not updated. Like for an example, the World Health Organization has have a guideline on keeping the ambient temperature in house. Now, for an example, more than 16 degrees of Celsius will create a lot of problems to human health. But are we discussing these things in your own context? So of course I have a lot of questions, but that's my the basic remarks. Thank you.
Can I take that up just
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
with? Thank you, Rohan, Mr. Kure or Dr. Kure, I don't know. Well, it's interesting what you pointed out. And I think that is one of the concerns. If you do not recognize the two words, weather and climate, you would not know the difference of what is happening daily and what is happening over a long period of time. The fundamentals are that. And that is what is first missing in our discourse in the big picture also, right? We are looking at the weather change, and are we looking at the climate change? Because from the little that I understand, because I was also involved in the IPCC in the early part, I dropped off because as a zoologist I had a problem with one bird, and therefore I dropped away. But it is some fundamentals like that that matter. So in Sinhala also we say Kala Gune, Desha Gune. Do we understand what is Kala Gune and what is Desha Gune? To first understand that there is a change in the Kala Gune and there is a change in the Desha Gune, right? So fundamentals like that are still not clear in most, and therefore changes in the temperature or patterns that exist in terms of whether to try and put everything in the climate basket, which is what I say is what is also happening today. Every debacle, every event, every problem that we are faced today is all dumped into the climate basket. Is it correct? Precisely as you have asked. Are we clear about it when we put it in climate? Because I may be wrong, but from what I did understand in climate change, you must have at least 70 plus years of good data showing trends that are becoming different to start with. And then only you can say that, well, there is some climate change issue. Why I believe that it is happening is because the simple fact that when you change the composition of the air by increasing the concentration of carbon dioxide can lead to an increment in the temperature is not something that we didn't know in the science more than 110 or 15 years ago. We knew it because it is documented in the literature. So it's a matter of putting two and two together. In that sense, yes, there is this high temperature increment over time. But are we discussing it in that context? Now, when somebody says Sri Lanka is the fourth most vulnerable country in the world for climate change, how much do we understand that? Right? That's what we have been told. And they also say that you are very fortunate. You have 30,000 water bodies. Please fill them up, and then you will be protected from the climate change. Now, where is the science to really establish that? And if it is so, how did these things be said? All this to me is still a question. But from the global perspectives and from the little experience that I have of the existing temperatures and the understanding, I am not skeptical anymore. I think climate change is with us, and we have to respond to it if we are to make a difference into the future. That is just on climate. But I am not putting everything on climate change. I think the resource utilization and the lifestyles that we are creating is totally wrong. And that's what we were fighting for from 1969 as an environmentalist. And nobody agreed with us then, and still people don't agree with us. So that's still the case, but we are not going to give up, right? If you do a real analysis of the needs, wants, you will realize that we are the culprits for all of this. The science is a second story, which only tries to explain the excesses or the impacts and balancing the story, like what was just mentioned, to innovate something, to think humans are the real animals who can do anything and not the other animals, and so on and so forth. These are all good. So that's real. That is the situation today to me.
Well, thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor. It's half. I'm trying to agree for the disagreements. Anyway, it's a nice answer. But that's not the question. The question is, are we really understand our climate science now? We do have climate projections, and we are speaking something else. And we of course, I really love what Professor Ranjith is doing in terms of green building. But at the end of the day, that we need to understand, what are we really projecting? Are we really projecting for 2.5 Celsius, or are we really projecting for 1.5 Celsius degrees in 2040? That's my question. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Good evening, sir.
There is,
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yes.
I am now doing the research. I am undergraduate student, sir. So I am now doing the research under the green building concept. So my research topic is building information modeling based on evaluation system for green building using local construction material. That's my topic, sir. So now I am in final stage, but I little stuck to doing finish my research. So, sir, can you please give some comments about that, sir? So, my question is, sir, now my target is to analyze the building based on carbon emission using local construction material. So, sir, now I want to make a tool like that. Now, green building system, we have rating tools like gold, silver, platinum, like that. So I want to make a tool with respect to carbon emission. So how can I proceed? How can I move to my research? So can you please give comments?
Professor Ranjith, can you?
Yeah, actually, it is not a short answer because it is something like that. You look at the carbon dioxide emission and provide the tool like that. It is a big topic, but then you will have to go into the detail of each material.
Yes,
their calculation, carbon calculation. Based on that, you have to come up with it is a mathematical tool that you have to perform. But I think
yes,
if you want to more detail, maybe you you better contact the Green Building Council, and then we will be able to provide some of the data that might be helpful to your research. I think it's a big task. But very important and very interesting area that you are.
Yes, sir, yeah. So one more question, sir. So I use here the Revit tools and some plugins. Based on the plugin, I can calculate the carbon emission. So with using the local construction material. So after that, I want to make a tool like that. I want to tell something based on the carbon emission. This building is good. This building is emit the more carbon emission. So like that. So that's the task for me, sir.
think what you say is well understand. It need this is like you look at the problem in the different measurements, like right. We of course we do have the same. We consider same thing, but we look at it differently. So I mean that is possible. That is more interesting. So that maybe we may be able to. We can't discuss it everything here. Maybe I think we better you better contact the Green Building Council separate.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. My name is Satish Jayavira. Just I want to ask, thank you very much. That's a great forum. It is a very interesting thing. Just I want to ask the question regarding that one. in Sri Lanka, what sort of regulation right now you have imposed in order to get the the building permit? So then then we can create that green building concept to reach that 2030. What sort of regulation so far having to get the the building permit?
I think UDA regulations require certain conditions to be met for buildings over 10,000 square feet. So there is it's mandatory that you get a approval, green rating for the building to get approval if it is more than 10,000 square feet.
So it is everywhere, and even the goal and everywhere that
if it is, yeah, if according to current regulations, it is everywhere. It is initially strictly imposed on government buildings, but according to the gazetted regulations, it applies to all the buildings over 10,000.
now I can understand that what you are talking about the green building, but it is all other building. It is mandatory to have.
No. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. For all buildings over 10,000 square feet, it is mandatory to get the green rating clearance.
Yeah, of course, but the 10,000 is a huge area, no? Even that.
I know. Yeah, that's
the
regulation now. Yes.
But otherwise, we cannot reach the 2030s. As you said, then you have our speaker said about the 40% of the carbon emission, by the built environment. So that is I mean, if you are consider only 10,000, that is what about the other areas? Otherwise, we cannot reach the 2030 target. Isn't it?
Yeah, true. It is true, but our position is that actually that is why we are Green Building Council is promoting.
But we need to update it. Otherwise, how we can reach this one target?
I know.
Yeah.
Why must you wait for regulations to do what is good?
No, that otherwise the people.
The idea that
otherwise people won't do that.
No, that is not correct.
That is a problem having that. Even without regulation, even you can't run you can't go to the road even today. No, even having
that is the mistake. That is where what Rangika said. We have become modes.
Of course, I don't think this will be work. Even other countries having the regulation.
That is why we are appealing that you become human. Think about the others, not the mode.
Yeah.
As adults, we have to make sure that we apply what is right and not wait to be told to apply what is right.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we had a very interesting session, and this wisdom forum is really helping everybody to understand. So now that we are running out of time, we will conclude. There were questions about how to join Green Building Council and that type of questions. I think we will individually answer those people how to get back and how to apply for the membership, and that type of questions we will directly answer them. So thank you very much. So shall I request Sadipa to conclude the session with vote of thanks?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for conducting such highly inspiring and informative lectures, and you added value for our Green Wisdom Forum. As an organization, we are proud to have a resource person like you with us. So thank you again, sir, and thank you all for being a great audience today, and stay tuned with our upcoming events too. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. These are the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
everyone.
sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir.